Okay, good morning, everybody. So we're going to continue with this form on this one. So we already kind of reviewed all the different parts that you're going to do, and now we're going to start filling it out. So for the principles form checklist. So the first thing on here, the title and the student name. So really, how are you going to show that? Do you want to draw it? Do you want to color it? Do you want to do something else for it? Do you want to make that your tape transfer? Like, I don't know, right? So you want to explain to me what you think you're going to do for it. Now, I've already started mine. You haven't started yours yet. You are not going to draw on yours until you have completed this paper because we want to make sure that you get everything on there, okay? So now for me, I'm thinking that I want to have principles of design drawn out in bubble letters, and I've got my little Missy here. And then I think I might add some emphasis to this area by using, I think this is where I'm actually going to add in my emphasis for color. So I think I'm going to do, because I love purple, I'm going to make the background purple, and I'm going to add yellow because those are complementary colors, so they'll emphasize each other. And I'm going to make the letters yellow, and that's what I'm going to do for my thing. So how am I going to show it? So for the principles of design, I'm going to draw it because I'm going to write it out. So I'm going to draw it in bubble letters. Bubble letters. Okay. Then up next is what materials am I going to use? Now I've decided that I'm going to, over here where it's description, I'm going to use purple and yellow to show emphasis. We'll come back to that in a second. But for what do I want to do? So I could use watercolors. If I happen to have watercolors, I could do that. Or I could do the colored pencil. Or if I have some type of other media that I want to use, I could do that too. Now, I really like working with watercolors and pencil together. So I think I'm going to paint, I'm going to use watercolors for the background. And then I'm going to use colored pencils for the yellow letters. So now it says describe it. So I'm going to do purple and yellow to show emphasis, and I'm going to use bubble letters. And, you know, just because I'm thinking about it, I'm going to fill that triangle. So I'm going to add that in. Fill the triangle. This is just to help you later when you go to start drawing. Like, you know, if you have a great idea, sometimes it's like so frustrating when you're like, oh my gosh, I had this great idea, and now I gotta remember what it was. But if you write it down, then it's right there. All right, so the next thing on my list is symmetrical balance. So remember, that's if you cut it down the middle, it's the same on both sides, right? So I want to make sure that I have that in my project. So for me, you know, draw it, color it, or other. For me, I think the easiest thing is going to be to draw it. So I'm going to draw it again. So for symmetrical balance, like I showed you in the last video, I chose to do two triangles. I made this line the center line, and I drew this little design, right? And I made it match on both sides. So now what material do I want to use to color this? Because I got to decorate it. I'm going to have to decorate the background, and I'm going to have to decorate the rest. Now, if you have an idea already, then great, add it in. If you're not sure yet, you can always come back to that, right? You don't have to fill out every single thing in order. So I think I'm going to draw it. I'm going to leave this blank for now, and I'll come back to it. And I'm going to put that I want to do like a fancy pattern. So I'm going to do a fancy pattern that reflects, I can't spell, in two of the triangles. So reflect just means, all it means is that if I had a mirror, which I happen to have, crazy, right? So if I took this mirror and stuck it right here, if I take it off, it looks the same, right? Because it's a mirror image, so it looks the same. That's all that means. So it reflects across. So that's how I'm going to do the symmetrical. Now the asymmetrical, remember that is if you cut it down the middle, it is different on both sides, right? So for the different on both sides, again, for me, I think I'm going to draw it. So like this little fancy whoosh right here, I'm going to draw it. That's what I'm going to do. And I think I really like doing the Zentangle patterning. Like I have fun doing that kind of stuff. So I think mine, I'm going to make it look kind of like, I was trying to make it look kind of like a vine with leaves. And then, you know, the little fancy extra bumps and stuff. But I still haven't decided how I want to color it in. Totally fine, right? Ooh, now on to Radial Balance. So remember, that's the one where each pizza slice matches all the way around the pizza, right? So if I move the pizza slices, I go all the way around, okay? So now for me, I decided that I wanted my Radial Balance to kind of go around the edge of my form. So like when I go to fold this together, see how I made it match up? So now like this triangle becomes a slice, and if I slide that over here, it matches. And if I slide it over here, it matches. And if I slide it over here, it matches. And if it slides over there, it matches. But I'm really just talking about this little star pattern right here, right? This outside stuff doesn't really match up, but this little star pattern does. So this little star pattern right here, that is my Radial Balance. So I'm going to say, I'm going to draw it. And I'm going to have it look like a Zentangle star. Zentangle star. And I want it to go around like the corner. Goes around a corner. Okay, so I've got that first part filled in. So go ahead and start thinking about just this section. Get this section filled out. If you don't have the materials you're going to use yet, that's okay. Just make sure you've got the how will you show it, and then kind of describe it, because I really want you to think about it so you can make something, you know, super awesome. And we're going to come back to the materials you're going to use a little bit later, okay? So take a few minutes, get this part filled out either in your sketchbook or get it filled out on OneNote. Either way is fine. And then move on to the next video. All right, thanks everybody.